Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Steps Basic, and I'm back. I didn't. I kind of wanted to take the whole week off, but staying quiet in my own head is no fun. So it's always been kind of a bit of a hassle for me, trying to stay in my own head, and it's just not working. So work. I'm a workaholic, I tell you. I wanted to come back and talk about everything. I mean, I don't know all the details yet, but I'm pretty sure that it's a safe bet to say that I can talk about everything. I know it's stupid. So we lost our aunt on Lizzie's great aunt, Aunt Val. She had been battling with leukemia for, I'd say, the last year or so. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. I don't know exactly. But we lost her over the weekend, and it's hitting us kind of hard. I mean, you can't blame me, right? I wanted to come back today and just record and try to be funny and try to move on, but like I said, when I get like this, I can't be funny. It's really hard. Person to person, it's a lot easier, but person to camera, it's basically just me in here talking to myself. But I figured one thing I can do, still creative in a way, still work in a way, is I wanted to recite one of my favorite poems by Alfred Noyes. Noyes? I don't think I've ever known how to pronounce his last name. Called The Highwayman. Now, naturally, this is a gaming channel, not a poetry channel, not a writing channel, so I'm going to be putting it over the top of my Warframe gameplay for the day, because that way I'm still being creative, but at least I'm still sticking to the channel, right? I don't know, maybe I'll talk more about stuff tomorrow, but essentially I don't know much of anything right now. Makes me feel stupid. But that's how life is, right? We think we know and then we don't. But anyway, let me get into this poetry here. Now, this is one of my favorite poems. My favorite versions of this poem is Lorena McKennitt singing it as a song. It's just beautiful, man. Listening to it, it just like makes me get all misty-eyed and stuff. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. Noyes? Still don't know. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of claret velvet, and breeches of brown doeskin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle. His pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jeweled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered, and clashed in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love nut into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened, his face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollow of madness, his hair like mouldy hay, but he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by the moonlight. Watch for me by the moonlight. I'll come to thee by the moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burned like a brand, as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through the casement the road that he would ride. They had her tied up to attention, with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her, with the muzzle beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," and they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say, "Look for me by the moonlight, watch for me by the moonlight. I'll come to thee by the moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up she stood to attention, with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlut, tlut, had they heard it? The horse hoofs ringing clear. Tlut, 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 tlut. In the distance, were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwaymen came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. Tut-a-lut, tut-a-lut, in the frosty silence. Tut-a-lut, tut-a-lut, in the echoing night. Nearer he came, and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew in one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight, and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon. Wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway. and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still on a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn-yard. He taps his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. Anyway, thank you all for humoring me for a moment. I love that poem. It's always been one of my favorites. I had heard it back when I was a young lad, as it were. And then when I heard Lorena McKennett's rendition of it, I was just blown away by how powerful it could be. And even now, thinking about it, it's gets me a little weepy, a little misty-eyed, you know. But, yeah. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And, of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can. You know, all that jazz. And again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you, Joel, for reminding me to delete my video. But anyway, until next time.